it's a fantastic day to welcome back a dear friend and somebody I do look upon, Phyllis Chubb. Phyllis, a great welcome, hearty welcome to you on board.
Well, thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here after a long period of hiding.
Yeah, and you've been kind of in hibernation with not being so much into astrology. So how does it feel now that you do have a very beautiful thesis coming up on nakshatras? So what made you see that, the topic today, let me tell my friends, is the male and female nakshatras. So Phyllis has a beautiful point to share on male and female nakshatras. And what made you go into that zone, Phyllis?
Well, how I managed this was I've noticed over the years, hundreds and thousands of charts that I've seen, I've noticed the gender of individual charts when the people come and they have specific problems. And to my knowledge, I had not read anything about this, and I had not been taught anything about this. So this that I'm going to present today is pure speculation. There's nothing more. There's nothing that I have found in the scriptures, in the slokas. It's something that I think is worthy for other people to start to look at, and that's all. It's just look at. So this is sticking the toe in the ocean. It's to see what might be there and what might not be there.
Yes, so this comes from an astrologer who has more than 40 years of experience in astrology, and yet she says that it is something that you need to keep watching, testing in charts. So that talks of experience and humility. Phyllis, what exactly have you observed in the charts after you started watching the nakshatras very closely?
Well, basically, when men or women would come to me and say certain things about their spouse or their partners or their romantic lives and things like this, there seemed to be the same drumbeat when I looked at the nakshatras of the person being talked about. And for males who have, what I have seen is in male charts, when they have many of their planets in female signs, specifically if the first three, if the Lagna, the sun, and the moon are in female nakshatras, that is a stamp almost of relationship challenges. And now there's another layer to this. And I will mention it, but I'm not dealing with it today, and that is the nature of the nakshatras. There are some men who have female nakshatras in the first three, but those nakshatras are tender. They are movable, or they can be fixed.
Okay,
But the fact
up in the next round of our our research, but for now, as you said, the male having female nakshatras, especially the first three. So how does it work out for them? Where does it challenge them?
What seems to happen is that they can be very critical, very demanding of their spouses, and they seem to fail looking at themselves. Everything they pick their partners apart and constantly criticize them, put them down. It's quite a negative thing. And it doesn't say very much for female energy. Mm-hmm. The same thing occurs with women who have lots of male energy. They get very focused on one thing and just keep driving, and drive their partners away. So this is only an observation, and I'm sure like there are some charts you can see instantly, you know, that they have poor relationship probabilities. But this business,
at those charts. Let's have a look at those charts that you have gathered for us so far.
Now, there's something I want to say about the examples that I have chosen before we see them. I have tried to select men from around the world that are well known, where there's considerable publicity about their romantic lives, so that we can say, all right, just by accident, you know, we have these examples. So we have the public acknowledgement of their challenges, and we have their charts. So let's look at these. So I'm not landing on just one person or one country and saying, oh, they're all bad. Now, the most important thing in this, what I'm talking about today, is this is exploratory and only exploratory, nothing more. Let's move on. So what I'm trying to say is that as we look at the nakshatras, we could begin to consider the gender of the nakshatras making a major contribution to the information that we take from them. And that can prove to be a very fertile field for us, possibly. Now, remember, this is an observation, and we need many years to develop more of a foundation for this. And it is possible that many of the things that we acknowledge today as being techniques carved in stone began as a simple observation. This is a developing science. And it's necessary, because if it wasn't developing, we'd have to say Jyotish is dead, and Jyotish is definitely not dead. So we have that opportunity to look at some other things and consider factors in a chart.
Right.
So the pluses and minuses that occur in the description of each gender needs to be examined. And the observations are not dependent on birth times. And this is a real plus for this observation. However, it's natural that if we do have the time of birth, then there can be greater confidence. But that's okay. Okay, what is the challenge that I'm speaking of, and that I think I see? And what it has to do with is men having more nakshatras in female nakshatras than in male nakshatras. There is another layer here that I will show you in some situations where the character of the nakshatras play a very significant role. And this challenge impacts their relationships and their ability to maintain a relationship. And we'll see that as we go forward and look at the charts that I have chosen as examples. Now, because this recording is being done through India, I have chosen the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Nehru. It is known that, yes, he was married once and became a widow. And there are stories. Now, these stories can be pie in the sky. Who's to know? But there's still stories about his relationship with women once he was widowed. And here we see that he has a Shlisha as his Lagna, which is a male nakshatra. This is fine. It's wonderful. And he could present that way. But everything else is in female nakshatras. Now, that's a bit of an imbalance. And it seems to suggest that maybe he would have difficulties. So let's go on and look at someone else. We can't always believe what we read in the paper or what we get in social media. But here now we have another person from India, Salman Khan. Now, Mr. Khan is very well known. And he's, how can I say, he seems to have a bit of a history of inconsistencies in his relationships. And here we see he has Shatabish rising. And Shatabish is a female nakshatra. His sun and his moon are female. He also has 3 others. That gives him a total of 6 nakshatra out of 10. Difficulty within relationships.
You know what?
And
he has been consistent with his dates, till the time he's dating them. But his girlfriends remain his girlfriends for a period of, say, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years max. And then there's something happens to turn him off, or something goes wrong somewhere, and he moves on.
And that is the pattern that I am seeing. The ability to maintain a relationship. Now, sometimes the men are left, and sometimes it's the fact that their partners leave. But it's the inability to maintain a relationship because of the refusal to look within, to see their role, their place in the relationship, what they're contributing. And I'm coming to this conclusion because I've listened to hundreds of people talk about this when I see charts like this, with this display of the nakshatras. Now here we have another very famous world leader, the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. I'm sure everybody has heard about that man's inconsistency in relationships. And here we have Lagna, Sun, and Moon. We have all but 2 of his nakshatras are female. Goodness gracious, no, his relationship with Marilyn Monroe is known the world over. And others, and many others. So, now we have a Canadian Prime Minister. Since I'm from Canada, I can't leave Canada out because we have a Prime Minister that again was known for the challenges in his relationships. Very popular male, but couldn't maintain a relationship and was very difficult to deal with. And here now we have 9 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 female nakshatras. So we see this going through, and we have public opinion to support it. So let's go on to the next one. And now we have the current president of the United States. And again, we have a lot of public information about his challenge in relationships and how he deals with women. And we have Lagna, Sun, and Moon, female. And 8 out of the 10 nakshatras are female. So relationship problems. And this is exceptionally well documented with this man. So let's go on one more. Now I'm going to open a little tin of worms here. And remember, this whole thing is for research. It's to consider. It's not carved in stone. But here we have a very famous transgender. Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner. And we see this person has all 7, or all 10, beg my pardon, all 10 nakshatras in female signs. Now, to me, that is suggesting difficulty dealing with relationships. And this individual has been married 3 times. So that by itself, we don't have to talk about extracurricular activity here. We could just talk about the fact there's been 3 marriages and now changing gender. The last one that I want to show you is of a male who is a transvestite. And again, now we see all female, or not all female, beg my pardon.
Just one of them is a male. 10
one
out
of
of 10.
Yeah, one of them is a male. Now, on this chart, I have put the nature of the nakshatras, just so, to give you a little tease, to encourage you to think here. So this gentleman has had multiple short-term relationships. I believe it was a 2 or 3 year marriage, his first one. His second one's 13 years. And here we have the Lagna and Ardra, which is a dreadful nakshatra. The sun and moon in Purva Phalguni, a fierce nakshatra. The way he dealt with his partners was nasty, although he wanted to be a female, a transvestite. Now, when I say he wanted to be a female, let's not confuse transgender and transvestite. He just preferred to dress as a woman. So his partner dealt with that. For his partners dealt with that. So these points that I have raised are for consideration. They're for exploration. They're not to be considered carved in stone, but my goodness, we have a lot of consistency going on here. So I hope all of you start to slide your eyes over and look at these in charts and see what is going on in people's relationships, not only with the opposite gender, but with everyone around them.
And Phyllis, while you were talking, while you were talking about Salman Khan, a very beautiful fact that came across was Mrigasira is a female nakshatra, okay? And Jupiter, it's in the 5th house. It's a retrograde Jupiter. So 5th house is all about love affairs, right? And
yes.
And Mrigasira is a nakshatra of search. So it's the deer searching for something that is very much within him, and he's looking for it on the outside. I have in many of my consultations, in many of my day-to-day dealing with people having planets in Mrigasira, I have found that they're always in search of something that is illusionary, and 2 found that it is something that probably they are lacking.
Well, this is just another factor that we all know Mrgashira is the deer, timid, wants to search, wants to look, short attention span, all these good things.
Exactly. And especially if people have the seventh lord, or it's a seventh house, or any such thing, or the fifth house, because the fifth house is your love interest, then it surely does speak of inconsistency, or rather look for a greener pasture every time, every single time. That has been my very straight observation.
Well, you see, now we've joined a little bit here, and this is wonderful. And hopefully the practitioners and students of this will open their mind a little bit with understanding the multiple sources of information that can be obtained from the nakshatras. They give us so much information. And my background in psychology has helped me a great deal to open my mind to seeing the nakshatras functioning in a person's daily life at all levels.
Thank
and
you so much.
I wanted to share this with people.
This has been phenomenal. What Phyllis has shared with us is just on the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much more to be unearthed about the gender of the nakshatra
And the nature.
And the nature, which she is going to share with us in the next round. But before that, I'm sure she will have some female charts to put up for us to see how the female nakshatra, females will behave in male planets. So
it's exactly the same, but the reverse.
So we'll have a good show then, Phyllis, with that. With this, we take leave of you, Phyllis, and it's been a pleasure to see this. Now, when people come to us with relationship problems, we'll be able to spot a few things out very easily.
Just check it. Just check it. This is not carved in stone.
We will check, and we will come back with an affirmation. With this view, we'll leave you in happiness and finally good health, as you say, because you really do need it, for being with us for a long time. Thank you so much for this.
Good night.
Good night.
Bless you all.
Thank you.